Flat Earth British subscriber channel. Speaking. Hello. Well, as you can see, I'm wearing my anti-3G, 4G, 5G, 6G, Smart G cap. Yes, made of copper mesh, basically, and just blocks absolutely everything out. It's great. It really helps. Does make me look a little bit stupid, but I don't care. Anyway, a couple of days ago, I had to go to Tunbridge Wells. I haven't been there for about 47 years, but I was quite surprised. It's very, very hilly, yeah, and at one point I got lost, and I ended up going up this very steep hill. And as I was going up the hill, I thought to myself, well, I'm not going to find any of those churches up there, like a church. You know what I mean when I say church, because it's just too high. Because I suspect that these pre-church buildings were probably something to do with the huge mud floods, stuff like that. And so I think that something had gone wrong in the past, and consequently all of the ground had come up and swallowed up these churches, or cathedrals, whatever you want to call them. And I got to this top of the hill. It was just the most amazing construct I've ever seen. I mean, I know I was just so surprised. So, I've had to rethink that, having looked at it. And so I was going on to Google Earth, just kind of trying to find the place again. And I ended up going on a journey somewhere completely different, oddly. So I was sort of looking at Tunbridge Wells going there, but because I got Wells in the description, I ended up finding something, well, not completely different, but something quite different, And let's just get rid of that for a second. Just say search. Does that mean? Okay, no, it should be all right then. So this came up, and I thought, oh, what's that? And then I went on to Google Earth, and well, actually, I think I need to. Oh, I don't just speed things up and share all of my search with Google, just so they know what I'm up to. Right, no, I don't know what I found out. Vicar's Close. Was it Somerset? Yes, it was in Somerset. Vicar's Close. Just up in my search, I saw this. Which primarily led me to go to it's gone. Anyway, to that cathedral. But initially, I just saw these, and I know, people will say, "Oh, where are chimneys?" Yeah, but if you've been on the flat Earth British journey, things aren't what they seem to be. And I was just looking at these and I'm thinking, what's all that? There must be something nearby or something, because this doesn't look normal. Just my hound dog instinct has just led me to think, nope, something's going on. What's round here? What's that down there anyway? What's that? What's that? So that got me thinking, I need to search it out. So I went for Vickers Close in Somerset, and I started just like clicking pictures. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. Is that a church? Nope. And started clicking pictures, and then it all started getting weird, as you can see. And that came up, and I thought, what on earth? Look at that! Look at that thing! What kind of machine is that? I mean, I kind of recognised it, and then so of course I typed in. Obviously, I found out the name, and then I came to Wells Cathedral, which is the name of it, and so I clicked some pictures. Did I actually say extra large, please? Yeah, obviously some better sort of like all-round photos that I was going for. But I mean, when I actually looked at the interior, I was just blown away with what I saw. I mean, look at this. I mean, I'd like to go and see this on Saturday. I'd like to go down there. I was just looking at the sheer width of this pipage. Here and here and there, and sort of like looking at how everything seems to be kind of like filtering down somehow. Well, at least that's a kind of overall impression that I get. But recently I've been pondering as to the direction of whatever these things were originally doing, whether it was chucking stuff up or bringing stuff down. I've kind of been looking at trees because let's just pop back a second. A bit more. When I kind of like, yeah, it's the same. Yeah, same cathedral. When I kind of look at these and then how they, forgive the pun, branch off. How they all kind of branch off. And my long fascination with trees, I kind of see the same thing. Yeah, I kind of see, you've got the trunk, and then things are just kind of like branching off in all kind of directions. And when you look at a tree, at least, yes, when you look at a tree, it's kind of it's a bit like an iceberg, really. You've got a top part, but then you've got a bottom part. Yeah, so in as much as you can see branches and twigs, leaves, everything else, as above, so below. Yeah. So you've got a whole root system, probably about the same diameter as this on the top. So if you kind of look at it, what is this tree doing? Well, what this tree is doing is it's making a link between what is above and what is below. Yeah, it's a key, perhaps, or just a join, like in woodwork, as they call it, dovetail, like a dovetail join. Yeah, it's connecting the two. Yeah, just think about that. The world, how it is. We know we've got the sky, we know we've got the land, trees. Somehow tie the two together. And if they don't, nevertheless, yeah, it's just a fact that a tree is in both planes. Yes. And then when I look at the design of these, and um, um, yeah, I mean, obviously, no. When you look at this, does it not look the same? Um, just trying to find. Here's another one. Yeah, you see, they're like trees. But the difference with these is like all of these kind of like trees are all interconnected. And what you'll normally find in these machines is you'll come to a point like here. They all come to a central point. And normally, okay, with these kind of constructs, what you'll find is you'll have a tower pointing up. Um, a tower or something like that. Normally on a far bigger scale. Let's just have a quick look. Yeah. I'm resigned to keep using that word church. Yeah, these things. Normally these are hollow. Well, they are hollow, but in later days you've got like a church bell or something like that, or they've just installed some floors and a staircase and stuff like that. But ordinarily, they are hollow. Same with these. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so I just got lost. Well, okay, I'm just gonna. I can't help it because I used to be a sci-fi fan, you know? But the Blake 7 ship kind of looks like a church if you sort of like face it upwards. We've got like the towers. I just can't get away with it. It's just the recognizing patterns. Yeah, they look like towers. Yeah. I mean, you have to wonder how they come up with the design for this in the first place. Was it based on a church? Well, I'll get rid of that now because it keeps distracting me. So yeah, what I'm saying is, mate, like a tree. Uh, it doesn't have. I mean, this is a cathedral, but oh look, there's another hole there. I can see it's fruit. Oh, I can zoom in. See, it's black. Yeah, because there's a hole. Now I don't know if originally these construct had some kind of internal mechanism or not, and something went up through these holes, um, and as to whether it was pulling stuff in or all this was pushing stuff out, I just don't know. I mean, as I said earlier, it looks like something seems to be trickling down, going into these things, almost. But then at the same time, I can't get away with the branching aspect of these cathedrals. It just seems to be that way. Um, this arching effect, going from one to the next. I mean, these flat parts here, in between all this, where my mouse is going. Hopefully, you can see my mouse. See my mouse? A cool cursor. Well, we should be able to. I can't actually get past this at the moment. It doesn't work in my head. Doesn't seem to conform to the rest of it. How it all works, how it's all interconnected and all joined. It's very curious to me. But nevertheless, there does seem to be an architectural flow. Yeah? And it does appear as if it was going down, but we got the tree where it seems to be going up. So, what might be happening here? Um, I just need a sip of holy water. Uh, what might be happening is there might be a kind of an exchange at some point in these constructs. But what you have to bear in mind, of course, is this isn't the whole picture. Okay. First off, um, we've got mud floods, haven't we? So the actual. Can I zoom in? Yeah, that'll do. Just excuse all these silly little saints. Uh, First of all, we got mud flood, so the ground level has come up quite high, yeah, which does mean that when you look at uh, this picture, for example, and you think this is ground level, it is in fact not the ground level at all, because the mud flood has just come up to this point and it's become the new ground level. So this actually went a lot deeper originally when it was built, or it's not that it was built deeper, it's just the ground level has come up. And if I just type the word crypt, well, lo and behold, what have we here? This is what's below the floor of that picture, which is now. Oh, so below here, this ground level is this, which they now call a crypt. And here's another one. Oh, it's on extra large, that's good. So, so this is below ground level. So this level that's now here because of the rising of ground level due to mud floods, this floor shouldn't actually be here. Okay, and so this would just continue further down. Now, unfortunately, because I haven't been here, I don't know at what part this is in relation to here. Okay, unfortunately. But as you can see, it's definitely some kind of a pipe work that's going on. Yeah, you can just see it all over the place. And really, when you take the whole thing as a whole, you take the whole thing as a whole, and you think, well, do you really need a machine of sorts to have been in this in the first place? When you see just how elaborate everything is, I mean, surely the actual structure itself is the machine itself. Yeah, I mean, just into the design of it all, how it all works. It's pretty clear, even to the point that when it goes up to the top, it's all kind of interconnected, and always, unless it's been blocked in modern day, you've always got a hole here. And quite often, as I said earlier, you've got a tower above it. Let's have a look. I don't think that's real. Well, this is Rochester Cathedral. This is beneath the ground level of Rochester Cathedral. See? Now, one might say that, let's go back. One might say, oh yes, this building, this construct was built by Christians or Catholics. They built this as a kind of like a worship to God, to a place of worship, and they built it, and that's what they'll tell you even today. So, oh yes, the church built this church. Yeah. And that's why it's sort of all kind of like elaborate, all kind of somehow depicts God, although it's quite beyond me as to how that depicts God. But one common thing that you'll find in all of churches, I mean, I know this is a cathedral, but in all churches, there's no toilets, there's no kitchen areas, there's no heating, and most importantly, there are no chimneys. You'll never ever find a chimney on a church. And if you think about it, if these buildings were built for people to come in and worship God, you think it would be just a little bit more kind of like, I don't know, hospitable, a bit more comfortable. But these places never are comfortable. They're always cold. Most of the time they're kind of like dark. You've got that kind of dank smell about the place. and you just got some either wooden pews or just wooden chairs, and there's just nothing about it that's inviting, is there? And at the end of the day, when you've got things like that, someone being murdered on a piece of wood, it's just not inviting, is it? Not at all. But as a function place, functionally, if that's a word, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Obviously, the scale of the building is kind of awe-inspiring, yes, but apart from that, does it in any way depict a god or look like a place that's welcoming, and caters for the needs of mankind? Well, no, not at all, not even to begin with. Anyway, as I was going, before I kind of trailed off there, I was talking about the tree and the similarities, in these buildings. Uh, the point is, what I'm thinking with a tree is there's a point of exchange, okay, and surely that has to be the part between the sky and the earth. Yeah? So, in as much as something is being drawn from the earth into the tree and coming out, there must also be, and I don't know what this is, I'm sure somebody else will probably know, trees do actually take something out from the atmosphere and transfer it down into the earth. But I don't know what that is. Maybe somebody that's watching this could leave a comment and actually tell me, what do trees take from this plane and put into this plane? Yeah. So transference, equilibrium, a function, a form, and a function. Uh, this. Uh, of course, the land level is much lower. Okay, so what would be if this? I mean, I don't know how far this goes down. I mean, I'm just assuming at this point that this crypt, as it were, is as far as the building goes. But I'm not entirely sure, because um, you'll be lucky enough to go to a church or a cathedral and actually get to go underneath into a crypt. Yeah, you'll be lucky if they let you down there. But then that's it. That's where the story ends as far as you're concerned, because if there's anything below that, you are never, it's never going to be revealed to you if it is or isn't. They just won't tell you, because at the end of the day, these uh, buildings and the people that own them, yeah, they're in a $1 trillion or pound business, billions. There's an awful lot of money involved in this. Okay, and things like I'm saying, yeah, um, they don't want that. They don't want people to know what I'm telling you. Yeah, what they want you to know, yeah, is that your God lives within these constructs, and he needs your money. Yeah, and of course, none of these institutions uh, that take money off the people that go in to these places, none of these institutions actually send any of the money or contributions to God. So God doesn't actually get any money at all, even though they're all collecting it on his behalf. Okay, so yeah, so the whole what's the word, paradigm of God and these buildings, has to be maintained and kept and held sacred for these institutions. Okay? And so, um, of course, they call these parts crypts, and over hundreds of years, of course, they've buried their esteemed priests and monks or whatever. They've kind of like buried them here and done little tombs and stuff like that, and then called this a crypt. Yeah. But it's all part of the lie. It's all part of the deception. It's all about maintaining their revenue. So, if indeed there was another chasm, beneath this, they are most certainly not going to tell you. One, because then this would no longer be a crypt, would it? If there was another floor below, the floor below, that would have to be the crypt, wouldn't it? Yeah. So it all gets complicated. So, nevertheless, I think it's pretty clear that this is going to be going down a lot further. Just this one cathedral, just this one crypt, this one example. Clearly, it's going to go down pretty much like a tree, as above, so below. So what you probably might find, okay, when I was talking about the exchange, the equilibrium, the part, that line, what you might find, if it was ever possible, is what you see above, it will be mirrored down below. Yeah. Because the architecture, just another one. You can see how this kind of like all reaches up. Sorry, it has form and function. It's reaching up into the sky. You know where I showed you earlier where you have a hole in the roof, in the ceiling, sorry. Yeah. Normally this is what you'll find above it. Just zoom out a bit. So what I'm saying is in the same way, with a tree, where this is all in the ether, but I'm saying that this will be mirrored below. So you could literally just stick a mirror here, with the edge facing up towards you, where my little arrow, my little plus sign is there. You have the edge facing up and the reflective side facing that way. Yeah. Would that work? That probably wouldn't work, actually. Yeah, forget that. But anyway, so what you see here is most likely to be underneath. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. But I mean, that is just a guess. But nevertheless, when you look at the internal and how it all kind of like branches out, as it were, as if to collect something to bring something in and down. Our the transference will be somewhere at ground level, but ground level as in the original ground level, not the mud flood level. So I really don't think as I previously thought, that below ground level there might be some kind of like ancient machines or something like that somehow connected or relayed all this to connect with the relaying system that's going on up here. No, I don't think that anymore. No, I think it works, operates on the same. So the answer as to what the original purpose of these constructs were doing, and as Martin Leacock would say on Flat Earth British, in Antiquitech, yeah, the answer is the tree. The tree is the answer because this is based on the same image. It was created in the image of a tree. It's the form. It's the actual form. And it all interconnects, interlocks. As with a tree, it doesn't interlock at its end. If you see what I mean. So, that might be something worth thinking about. This is all open-ended, right? But with these, it's a closed system but only to a point, because in all of these machines, you have an outlet or an inlet. Yeah, all of it, all this is a closed system. Yeah, but with relays and stuff like that. But it all comes to either an inlet or an outlet. Yeah, that's the point. That's the point. Yeah. Yeah, you can pretty much go all over the world, really, looking at these. Um, can you see trees in all this? Yeah. Why we've got a little bit of flowerage here? Yeah. A little bit of foliage. Yeah. See, what has that got to do with a god? What has that got to do with a god? How does that glorify God? Yeah, yeah. Bit of foliage, bit of foliage. I mean, that might have been stuck in. I don't know. There might have been a hole there at one point. I don't know. I've never been to this place, but as you can, as you can see, it's like a plant, not a plant as in a flower, but a machine plant for sure. Another example, is that a tree? But it's all interconnected. It's a closed system till you get to the hole. Yeah, there's your hole. I mean, it does look like there should be, like a pole or something going up through, and they've kind of just ripped it out. The church has come and said, "Oh yeah, we'll take this building. Yeah, we'll call it House of Worship," and they've just ripped the guts out of the place. It does look like that, I must admit. But the thing is, a tree is a tree. It just is. It doesn't. It's not a machine. Okay, it's just. It has its function just by its position, by being above and below. And it has its transference between the two. And it's the same with these machines. It's the same. They they look like they have this form. They look like this for a purpose. Hold on, sorry, I just need to have a sip of holy water. Yeah. Oh, did I mention? I'm not sure if I mentioned what I was going to say is if somebody knows, yeah, the function of a tree and how it transfers into the atmosphere from the earth, yeah, what it is that it does is transference, and also how it pulls down and transfers something from the ether into the earth. I think if you're a nature person and you know the answer to that question, yeah, then you'll be able to answer the mystery uh, of these buildings, yeah, of what they did, what their original purpose was, for absolute surety, because that's what these buildings were based on. Yeah, it's. I'm inclined to think that this civilization existed worldwide that built these things worked in harmony with nature. Uh, I mean, I can only guess. Were they? Did they construct these things to enhance life on Earth, or was there a deficiency on the Earth or in the sky, and they were just trying to boost things up or whatever, you know? But definitely the technology was a very earthly, naturistic technology, or rather, they were so highly intelligent. Uh, but even with that high intelligence, they still respected nature. They still respected the world that they lived in and applied their intellect uh, to coincide with nature for sure. Or they actually understood um, what mankind is. That mankind is indeed part of the earth, as is the animals. They recognised that we were all, in a symbiotic relationship, and so, with that in mind, whatever they were doing, their technology just was permeated by that ideology. But something happened, and I guess it clearly came to an end. And then the church came in and turned them into little shrines to their own egos. Much like world government. Yeah, I think probably that's about it. Oh, that's a good view. There we are. Well, you look at the ceiling here. Yeah, it all kind of like relays. There's no outlet. You know, even here, there. There's no outlet or inlet, and you always get this. It's the same with the I don't even like to say the word. I don't like the phrase. This building is exactly the same as what we call a church. It's the same. It's the same function. All the towerage here. Yeah, Big Ben. It wasn't a clock. Well, it still isn't a clock. They just put a clock in it. I'm just trying to find if you ever go to this place and you see here, and then you look through this doorway and look up, you'll see this massive, great big hole going all the way up through. Goes all the way up through there. Yeah, is that a church? Yeah, is that a church? Looks like a church. Do you see what I mean? Do you see the problem that we have? How do you define what is or what isn't a church? Yeah. If you stick a crucifix on the top, does that then make that a church? No, I don't think I'm going to get what I wanted there. Is that a church? Oh yeah, it's got like priests in there, so it must be a church then. Yeah, it's a church. Yeah, it's quite clear, isn't it? You can see what it is. It's a machine. Let's have a look at some other cathedrals, shall we? Cathedral High School. Yeah. I mean, that just doesn't say God to me. I mean, you can stick all these little caricatures in there, like Pope, blah, 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 or priest, or father, blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah. You could do all that, but yeah, that's a later addition. Yeah. But does that make it a church? Again, just look, it does. It really does look like everything's kind of like coming down, but there's got to be an exchange. What's this? Chester Cathedral. So let's see if Chester Cathedral has a crypt, which isn't a crypt. Has it? Crypt. Cathedral crypt. That doesn't say. Does that say Washington? I didn't do Washington. I didn't click Washington. I just said crypt. Cathedral crypt. Yeah. Oh, whatever. No, let's go back. Let's be consistent. I just said cathedral, didn't I? So what was I looking at? Oh yeah, Chester Cathedral. Right. Just double check. Chester Cathedral. Well, no. No, apparently not. I bet it has, though. But no, the official narrative says no, there's no crypt. We're just a cathedral. No, no, that's clearly been hidden from the public. Oh, hold on. The crypt, Winchester Cathedral. But no pictures. Yeah, so anyway. Point made. And it's probably the same for your I just say church crypt. Churches, without a doubt, are going to have crypts as well. But more than likely, the actual ground level of these crypts, will be the point of exchange, and then what is above will be below. So probably at this point, going down, you'll have exactly the same going up, but going down. Because that would make sense. Yeah, makes sense. So I think that's all I wanted to say, really. Yeah. I mean, just ask yourself the question: why would you need a crypt anyway? So if if in the, I don't know, year dot or whatever, and every Catholic monk and every Christian priest was an amazing architect and builder, and they all built these buildings as they worshipped to God. What was their mindset to then dig below ground level to create a crypt as elaborate, as this, to bury the priests and stuff like that? Why? Why would they do that? Why would anybody do that? Well, they just wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. And the thing is with these churches, if you like, they buried them outside on the perimeter of the building. Yeah. So why would you build a crypt and bury the priests in the crypt? It just doesn't make any sense. Yeah. I mean, what more can I say, guys? What more can I say? I mean, how? I mean, this is a crypt. Yeah. I mean, how big does a crypt need to be? Yeah. And why do you need a crypt if you bury the people outside the building anyway? I mean, how big is this? How many square feet is that? How many, I don't know, priests or something serving at this church are going to be buried in here? yeah, or very religious people, buried in here. I mean, how big a space do you really need? It's just Nutsville. Yeah, yeah. This doesn't say God. How is that God? You know, just forget about the stained glass windows added at a later date. Just has no function or uh, declaration to God at all. You know, and like I said, all the money that these little priests working for their little institutions, they don't give the money to God, do they? Like, but clearly, and when you look at this, where's the knowledge gone? Yeah? I mean, for the most part, religion, especially Catholicism as well, they are very what is the word? Um, Resourceful when it comes to keeping history, documentation of history, parish records, all stuff like that, all that kind of stuff, historical records, I mean, churches, the institution that runs these buildings, they're very good at that. So where are all the building techniques for constructing these buildings? Yeah. Where are they? Well, they're nowhere. They don't exist. Yeah. Because the church never built these buildings. They just simply moved in. Probably when I was showing you earlier about the sort of the mud flood. Here's a typical example. You've got this high ground level. Yeah, the building is kind of like buried up to this part. Not down here, but up here. You see it all over the place. Anyway, I just saw one a second ago. Yeah, I think it's gone. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look at this. It almost looks like a spaceship, like a rocket or something. But again, oh, yeah, actually, no, you can't really see that. Uh, but I think you can look at this all yourself. When you look how these buildings are constructed, yeah, it had a function for sure. Okay, yeah. So that's it, guys. Just thought I'd share that one with you. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Catch you later.